Horror has been one of the biggest mainstays of YouTube since the very inception of the platform. There's something just so interesting and intriguing about the way horror is presented on this website that allows viewers to come back for more and more over time. From the very beginning, horror has shown through with some of the earliest viral videos on the platform being horror focused, and while YouTube horror has gone through many stages over the years, from SCPs to creepypastas and now finally to analog horror, none are as strange and as intriguing as the earliest form of horror on YouTube. And there really isn't a name for it besides lost footage. Almost every single one of these early YouTube horror films feel like something you would come across while looking through a video rental store completely unlabeled. There's just something so off about the way early YouTube horror was done and hasn't really been able to be replicated since. There just isn't really much for you to latch onto for safety, with many of them not having a plot whatsoever, allowing your brain to see it like an almost cursed videotape. But what really makes many of them stand out is the atmosphere within all of them. I don't know what it is about it, but the really low budget feel and the atmosphere of all these videos make them feel even more uncomfortable than they would be without it. And the almost home movie feel to it actually adds to the atmosphere, as it feels way creepier to the fact it feels more real because of it. And many of the videos just feel off, like you shouldn't be watching them and that you stumbled upon something you shouldn't have. And many of the best ones of these utilize silence or extremely wide shots just to give an off feeling to everything that you are seeing. And the style of horror that is shown in these is way weirder than we're used to, as it's something that's so low budget and lo-fi to it that it doesn't feel like anything else we've had since. And that really adds to the horror of a lot of these, as it feels like something that you're not supposed to see. And because of that, in this video I wanted to revisit some of the classics of early YouTube horror, but before getting into the main section, I wanted to say thank you all to the new subscribers of the channel. I didn't expect to hit 1,000, let alone 2,000 that quickly. I'm still just in shock by how many subscribers came from that video, and I just wanted to say thank you all for joining, and I'm so happy that you picked my channel to follow. And if you're new here, remember to like and subscribe if you liked the video, and let me know down in the comments below what you thought on the video. Now let's get on to the main video, with the first video being There Is Nothing is a 2006 short experimental horror film, and it follows a girl in a dining room with flames in the windows behind her, and at first what she says is reversed, unable to be understood. Some creepy music plays in the background which helps with the creepy ambience of the area, but before we can figure out what is going on, she suddenly slams her head into the bowl in front of her. Camera then proceeds to pan out, giving us distance from her and allowing us to see the bowl in front of us, like we were trapped in the same hell, just like her. Then the camera pans back forward where she says, "There is nothing," before deadpan staring into the camera and closing her eyes. There's just something so off-putting about this short that is hard to put into words. I don't know if it's the dead eyes when she stares back into the camera, or if it's the way the flames seem to surround her in the background, making it look like she's in hell, but all I know is that it makes me extremely uncomfortable while I'm watching it. The way she deadpan stares into the camera, it almost reads like she's reading into my soul. And it doesn't help that there isn't much background noise besides the weird ambient music. And it just makes the whole experience of the video just that much more uncomfortable, because you can't escape her. She is in the middle of the screen. There's nowhere that you can look away from her. And the reason why I say the film is experimental is the experimental aspect of the film is that if you play it forward then backwards, the film is exactly the same both ways. Because of that, if you were to watch it multiple times over, it would be a perfect loop. And I think that really adds to the actual horror of it even more than if it didn't, as it almost like it symbolizes that she's trapped in her own hell, repeating the same actions over and over again for eternity, no matter what she does. She can't escape where she is at. She is stuck in that dining room forever, which makes it that much more scary. And what surprised me when researching this short film is that in fact that was a real person playing the woman. I thought for sure that with the weird, almost mechanical movements of the woman playing hard into the uncanny valley, that she was going to be an animatronic and not a real person. And when I say she plays hard into the uncanny valley, you really feel extremely uncomfortable every time she looks towards the camera. You can tell she's supposed to represent something human, but it just doesn't feel human while watching it, if that makes sense. And because of all those reasons, There Is Nothing sticks in my mind as one of the best and creepiest of the early YouTube horror shorts. But an even shorter film that came out around the same time was able to scare me just as much, if not more, and that is Hey Walter is a short video that starts off somewhat ambiguous, with not much going on in it, as a man describes to his friend Walter about a girl he met at the mall. But as he goes along, we see the man get more and more increasingly unhinged as he describes what he did at the mall with the girl. And about halfway through his unhinged rant, he starts to talk about wanting to show Walter the girlfriend. And this is where things start to become really, really uncomfortable, as you really don't know what is going to be shown next. You can tell it's not going to be something good, but it's really, really off-putting the way he's acting, almost like he knows what he's about to show is really, really messed up, but no one else is going to enjoy it except for him. After he tells the camera he wants to show his friend the girl that he brought home from the mall, it is revealed that he has her tied up in the basement, bound and gagged. He then walks into the room with the girl and slams the door behind him, and that's when the video ends. And you may be thinking, ABA, why would you show this? It feels like this could be real and not just a horror short. Well, people did in fact think this was real for the longest time. And people even began to link it back to an actual missing person case. And even the police got involved at a certain point, but it was later revealed to be completely false. I will say that it has been completely debunked, and this is just in fact just a normal short horror video. None of this is real. Even though there was a girl that they thought could possibly be the girl in the video, that was completely debunked and is in fact the creator's girlfriend. That doesn't mean the video is not one of the most disturbing ones you can find on the platform, because just how well they make it look real. Like seriously, when you are watching this, you start to figure out just what's going on just by his body language alone. The acting in the short video is top notch because you can tell something about him just seems off from the very beginning, and as this rant gets more and more unhinged as it goes along, allowing you to figure out that something about him is just not right. And then the final reveal at the end is executed almost perfectly. The girl's acting makes you believe this is real footage of a stolen girl, which makes the short that much creepier, and overall it's really impressive just how scary and realistic he was able to make the atmosphere in 50 seconds. Like seriously, this segment is already longer than the video itself. It's only a 50-second long video, and it is able to be extremely frightening in that 50 seconds. And that is why Hey Walter will always be remembered as one of the creepiest videos in early YouTube, but one video does atmosphere way better than Hey Walter, and that is... Finally, there is of course I Feel Fantastic, and it is the earliest video we'll be covering in this video, and it's a music video from 2004 following Tara the Android, as she tries to sing her song called I Feel Fantastic with incredibly uncomfortable visuals that go along with it of her singing the song as she tries to replicate poses of a human woman. But where a lot of the mystery of the video comes from is this random shot about halfway through the video where it cuts to this. You can see what looks to be a woods, probably someone's backyard, and this shot comes completely out of left field, adding to the weirdness of the video before immediately cutting back to Tara the Android. And people started to wonder about the creation of this video due to the extremely weird and creepy atmosphere that the android possesses and the random shot of the woods, which caused the people to wonder if maybe the video was made by a murderer and that the woods was where he was hiding the bodies in almost a mockery of his victims. The theory of it actually being a murderer trying to show off his victim count is of course completely and utterly false once again. This was an urban legend that was spread about the video around the time, but is completely and utterly false in every single way. This is just a weird video, with the actual source of the video being a DVD from back in 2004, which included more songs of the singing android, which are all just as uncomfortable as the first one. And you can actually find the full video online, and I will link it in the description down below. It's an interesting watch because every single one of them is also creepy as well and really tap into that uncomfortable feeling. But what makes I Feel Fantastic stand out is that random shot of the woods as well, which adds another layer of mystery to the weird video. But with the weird singing along with extremely disorienting music combined perfectly with the weird ambience of the animatronic, it allows the video to be as creepy and as effective as possible. And once again, like all the others, this video taps perfectly into the uncanny valley, just like There's Nothing also did, because of the extremely stunted and weird movements of the animatronic. And because of the way it seemingly is trying to imitate human movement and speech, it makes your brain recognize it as something trying to be human, but when by appearance you can tell it's just something attempting to be human. And just like all the others, something is just completely off about it, and let me show why I think these are so similar to one another and why they work so well. So in conclusion, I think what makes all these horror videos work so well is the atmospheres they are able to create with the way they are shot and set up, even with some of them not intending to be frightening in the first place. For example, I Feel Fantastic is not even intended to be a horror video, but the way the ambience and the atmosphere of the video surrounds the android, it just allows it to be as creepy as possible. They usually play heavily into the uncanny valley or mystery, allowing them to seep into your mind and fuck with you for a while after viewing. They also generally don't explain anything to you, allowing you to try and figure things out yourself, which I think makes the horror much scarier than it would be if it tried to explain every detail of what's going on to you. I Feel Fantastic and There Is Nothing both drop you into worlds with almost no human entities that play with the part of your brain that recognize the creatures as human, but slightly off, allowing you to feel the uncanny valley to an extreme degree. They also generally all use an uncomfortable amount of silence, so you're essentially being left there all alone with your brain, allowing it to build tension as your mind begins to wonder what could possibly be going on. See, for horror, silence is the strongest tool because nothing that can be shown visually will ever be as scary as what your own brain can think up of. And because of all that, I think while a lot of the early YouTube horror videos are quite strange, they have a certain charm to them that a lot of the newer horror videos on the platform are missing now. And if you want me to do another deep dive on a lot of the older YouTube horror videos, let me know in the comments down below if you want a part 2. And that is all for this week, and remember, if you liked the video, to like and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys all next week.